The past is painful, the present precarious, but the future is free. That's Concrete Park.
What's up, folks? I'm Karima, aka The Blurred Girl, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with actress, writer, producer, activist, and comic book creator, Erika Alexander. Now, most of you know Erika from her roles as Maxine on Living Single, Detective LaToya in the movie Get Out, the magical Perenna from Black Lightning, and of course, Linda Diggs in Wu-Tang and American Saga. She's also very politically active, and in 2016 was one of Hillary Clinton's official surrogates on the campaign trail. She's also one of the producers of Good Trouble, a documentary about the late Representative John Lewis. But few people know that in 2013, she co-created the graphic novel series Concrete Park with award-winning artist Tony Puryear. The team recently created a series of NFTs of their characters, making them the first Black-owned indie comic company to do so. So up next, my conversation with Erika Alexander. So, Erika, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today. I really
Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it. And I appreciate all the work you've done over the years to amplify marginalized voices who are now becoming the cultural mainstream of the newest, I feel like, literary classic giants. But you were there before everybody.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I've been a fan of yours for a long time. And I think what's really hilarious is that everybody knows you, of course, as Maxine from Living Single, but also, your acting career with, you were in Get Out as Detective LaToya, Wu-Tang and American Saga, and then of course the magical Perenna on Black Lightning. You got superpowers. We were all very excited about that.
Me too.
But one thing I don't think people realize is how much work you do outside of your acting. And that is definitely one thing I wanted to talk about, including Concrete Park, the comic that you co-created with co-writer Tony Puryear. Now, first, I don't think people realize how politically active you are, because so many actors keep their politics to themselves. But you're very much like, no, this is what I believe. This is what I think all of you should know about. And that's what's been fantastic to see you delve into. Can you tell me a little bit about between, the last few years, the elections and everything that you've been able to be a part of? What's been the most, the highlight of your politically active career?
I think the highlight of my career, and thank you for asking this question, because it's really nice to be a performer and be able to work and collaborate with all those people on sets and do different things. But I'm always somebody else. I'm never myself. And politically, you get a chance to really not only identify with people who you might admire, but also you are representative of what I believe. And so it's one thing to play a superhero. It's another thing to be a superhero, like John Lewis or Stacey Abrams or Ayanna Pressley. And these are the types of people that I have been so honored to work with and meet. So I think that going off of that John Lewis Good Trouble, the documentary I produced, is probably one of the biggest highlights of not only my career, coming into like collision with film and film what I do, but also a real life superhero. And that, and also the honor of being Hillary Clinton's most traveled surrogate for 10 years.
Yeah, and I don't think people realize that you did that. Like, you literally went on the road. When people say ride or die, you were that woman.
Ride or die. Ride or die. It's true. It's true. And I was glad I did. In fact, the people that I met, including John Lewis and people like Maya Angelou and Cecily Tyson and Ayanna Van Zant and Ayanna Pressley and Stacey Abrams, we were all Hillary girls. And so I wouldn't have had that kind of education and to meet these not only strong, iconic people who were on their way to becoming iconic. They weren't who they are now.
Yeah.
But I met them when we were trying to rally and campaign for her. And everybody always equates it to like, well, Hillary Clinton this, Hillary Clinton that. But the truth is, she's an avatar and a representation of the types of things we were trying to get done. And so I was grateful to see so many powerful people try to come to that cause was heartening.
And what's it like looking at the work that you've done on Good Trouble, now looking back at the very intense time that was 2020? We're still kind of in it, but looking really, now that we have a little bit of distance, what's it like looking through the lens of that film?
It shows you a little bit about how, to use your name just a little bit, karma. Karma, but karma. And the karmic power of John Lewis coming together in 2020 with the pandemic and also George Floyd and also the election that would be so consequential that I think that if we had voted in the same administration for another 4 years, we wouldn't be having this conversation in the same kind of space that we're talking now, which is a space of more confidence and leveraging, thinking that there's hope for the future. That right there was put into place by something that was bigger than me. I'm not overly religious or anything, but I do believe in energy. And it was a collision. And in fact, when they buried John Lewis and the two funerals they had, one in the, and I think he laid in state in 3 places. It might've been in Georgia and Alabama where he was born, and then also DC. He was afforded that honor. There was a double rainbow over the Capitol both times.
Wow.
A double rainbow. Now, the double rainbow is significant. Why? Because not that it's so rare, but the fact that it was over the Capitol both times, and it meant hope. He was all about hope. And I thought, that's how a superhero does it. He sends a subtle message. It's in the clouds, but it's over that. And I thought, that's karma too. That's a karmic sort of value. So I think that's what I think about 2020, that ultimately those villains and those heroes were identified. And now it's up to us to move things forward to make sure that that never happens again.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it's so interesting because one of the things that I remember seeing a lot of people talk about was sort of how the pandemic was also affecting prisoners and people who were incarcerated and things like that. And when I went back and read Concrete Park, I was like, oh my God, it's an off-world prison industrial complex. Oh my God. Like we're so close to that, right?
We did. You said better than we did.
Because it's like, this is where we're headed, you know, and but not that we want to be in that way, but it's just very interesting when you look at things that you thought were so futuristic that are like, wait, that's closer than we thought. So let's talk about Concrete Park a little bit. Now, I'm pretty sure you first published this in 2013. Was it earlier than that?
I think it was around 2013. Yes, you're right. The first floppy comic came out.
And I believe you and co-writer, co-creator Tony Puryear produced this yourselves before Dark Horse picked it up.
No, Dark Horse had always picked it up.
They had always had it. Okay. Yeah. The interesting thing about this comic, first of all, y'all haven't picked it up. You should pick it up. You could still get it. I will put a link in the show notes if you don't have it already, so you can support. This is volume 2. There's 2 volumes, but this one back here is 2.
Thank you for putting that so prominently in the back. It is difficult to sometimes find it now. It was all over before Barnes and Noble, but it's digital as well, and we appreciate people are looking at it. So great, thank you.
Now I touched on the storyline a little bit, but it really does have to do with a guy who ends up on an off-world prison colony and the things that happen there. Can you share a little bit more about the story behind it and how you used to go into schools and talk about this comic?
Yeah, we've gone everywhere. And in fact, they've even taught courses in Concrete Park as, you know, the subject head. So Concrete Park we asked ourselves, what if Earth sent its poor, its youth off to another planet? Would they reproduce the tribalism, the racism, and the violence, or would they make something new? And we said they would make something new. We were very inspired by City of God, the movie, also the writings of Frantz Fanon, The Wretched of the Earth. Obviously, Tony having grown up, he's the generation that really advanced comic books with Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. He had seen those things his whole life and loved comic books. And we didn't do this because we loved comic books, as nice as that is. We did this because we had so much pushback for a series we were trying to sell in the industry in Hollywood. And we ran into a studio head that told us that Black people didn't like science fiction because they didn't see themselves in the future. That's a quote. And we told him that that was ridiculous. In fact, he was telling that to two Black people. And at the time, Will Smith was was the biggest science fiction star in the world. And he obviously didn't know anything about Octavia Butler or Samuel Delaney or any of these other people. And it was just absurd. But we were so disheartened because we had gone all over. And every time they'd see Tony would do a presentation, it wasn't comic book yet, but he was always good with graphics and all that. They say, oh, this is great. Gosh, we should have this. And then they'd say, but we don't know if the market, we don't know if the international, we don't know. And it was all that. And so after that meeting, Tony said, oh, F it, I'm gonna draw it. And he taught himself after 50 how to illustrate comics. Sent the first few panels to Dark Horse because he knew that they were about creators. They did 300, Hellboy and Sin City, all those things. He knew that Mike Richardson was about independent creators. And next to Marvel and DC, there's Image now and all these other places, but that was the creme de la creme. So we sent it and he sent a message right back, 5 minutes, and said, I'd love to talk to you. He gave us a deal to do our first comics. And when we came out, we were a Best American comic. And in 2015, Forbes said we were one of the best graphic novels in America. And that's how it happened.
I would love to go back and find that studio executive now. I would have loved to have seen that. Did you reach back and talk to him in 2018 after Black Panther, after, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse with Miles Morales? Because,
well, let me tell you this, that studio head is no longer. And in fact, I've been in this business so long that I've learned that as a performer and a person that can create, you will outlast your enemies. You will outlast your obstacles if you just stick in. He's gone now because those people don't stay but 10 years, that's tops, that's a really big person. He stayed longer than most and he's gone now. But there's a cute little story I'll tell you. At that meeting, he said, the reason he had this point of view is that he made a movie and they showed the screening of the movie to a Black test audience. And one Black person stayed around, a Black man, and kept staring at the screen. And they said, sir, do you have any questions, any things? He said, yeah, I wanna know how that nigga get to Mars? Because apparently there was a Black person in the movie. So this was his reasoning, that he just said, oh, wow, they can't even fathom themselves in the future. Not knowing that we created hip hop, rock and roll, the blues, jazz. We are their future. As Jay-Z says, we are the culture. They are not. We have created his future he's living in. James Brown put music on the one. We don't play. So I was going to write a book. I said, if this makes any dent in the thing, I was going to write a book called How This Nigga Got to Mars. And dedicate it to and put the name in there for everybody to see.
That's awesome. And I also think that also the guy might have literally just been fascinated by the concept. And it could be, once again, just a white man misinterpreting Black colloquialisms and making a full decision on them. You know what I mean?
It was probably just a brother sent up there making a joke.
Right. And they took it serious.
Right. But that's how stupid he thinks we are. But it showed how ignorant he was to not know that he was living in a world, the future world that we created, and then apply it to a whole studio. I won't do science fiction with Black people in it because they won't be able to get it. Having seen Uhura and all these people, Black people love science fiction because it's the one place where they're not held hostage by the parameters and the racism and the prejudice and the bias they put on us. In the future, we can be anything. It's in their present that we're nothing. And in fact, our motto comes out of it. Everybody has to boldly go where no man has gone before. Ours is, the past is painful, the present precarious, but the future is free. That's Concrete Park.
There you go. So what's incredible about all the work that you've done on this comic and the fact that people have been teaching about this, I believe Tony helped create a curriculum that went with the book, right?
Yes, it goes with the book. We both come from educators. His mother was a librarian. My mother was a teacher. Of course, my father was a preacher. Everybody was in sort of the social sort of network, and you feel like there's a social contract. If people support your ventures, you want to give something back. We also thought it was a great way to start talking about not just race, but class, which is at the center and core of everything. We talk about all these things that are artificial, but the truth is it's about the rich and the poor. And so that curriculum happened, and then we were being invited to Stanford and Harvard and all these places. And they have the Concrete Park and the Harvard Archives. It's a big deal.
No, it absolutely is a big deal. And I also love how you have always looked at this as more than just a comic book. It's always been about educating and also letting kids, young people see themselves in a different future, telling our own stories, things like that. So tell me when you decided to get in on NFTs, because Concrete Park is now basically about, I believe you are the first Black-owned comic property to create NFTs of some of your characters, correct?
Yes, thank you. Yes, we are. Well, we got approached by Curio, that's Curio, NFTs, and they were doing NFTs, and we didn't know much about them, but you learn the space, you learn technology a little bit when you're in comics, because you have to keep up innovation. Obviously, you know better than me that almost every comic book store was closed during the past 10 to 15 years. And if they thought Barnes and Nobles were going out of business, comic books were like the canary in the coal mine. And so most comic book people had to go digital, not because they wanted to, because they had to, even if they didn't like it.
And the pandemic didn't help.
Not at all. Very few little ways to get compensation. And this is now where the rubber meets the road. NFTs are non-fungible tokens. They're a way for artists to create art within an encrypted digital format and sell it as art or collectibles. And I think it's genius. They're using crypto technology, which has been around for 10, 15 years, and they're able to create on it. So if anyone, just for people to get it, you don't have to have cryptocurrency to buy these things. You can buy it like you buy anything on Amazon or Nordstrom. But the thing itself you're buying is encoded with certain information that says what number you've got. It makes scarcity. It's the number and the provenance. So provenance comes from us. We're Concrete Park creators, and Curio helped create this. That's embedded in there. You've got maybe 1 out of 150. You buy number 10 if you want to, and that's embedded in there. But it also now knows you, and now you're encrypted in there once you buy it. But here's the thing. There's a digital wallet that's attached. If you sell that on the secondary market, money, some of that money always comes back to us. That's a way to have residuals. On everything that I create inside of the TV film space, if they buy it on the secondary market, Living Single goes into syndication, they call it.
Mm-hmm.
Then whoever buys it has to pay the original creators and the actors. You just can't go and make that and then go make as much money as you want to. We get residuals. That's exactly what's in there. And I think for Black creators and creators of color, especially people who are in the space that rarely get compensated for anything they create, this is a game changer.
Now, you just brought up something very interesting, because a lot of the news that's been out about NFTs has been, you hear about Top Shop, ESPN, like the trading gifts, people literally buying little gifts that were out, in the early aughts for hundreds of thousands of dollars. And people are very confused. It looks like a lot of rich people just buying the work of original artists. But what you're saying is the deal that you have made with Curio, they are not just making money off of images in Concrete Park. You are making get a profit off of the initial sale. And then if I myself buy one NFT of one of the characters and decide to resell it or resell part of it, you will get a piece of that through, and that is through Ethereum. Is that how you would be?
Their platform is built on Ethereum.
Their platform is built on Ethereum. Okay.
Ethereum is the underlying structure that's
crypto. Cryptocurrency structure.
People know Bitcoin, Ethereum is the next one. So they've made their platform, Curio has made their platform on that. Yes, I'm saying that. You're not just taking somebody's art and just selling it as you want. In fact, that's why the codes matter. That's why the encryption matters. It's because it's giving you credit for having not only made it, but it's also making it scarce. It's no longer what it was. Now, that's how we have to think of it. It's no longer what it was on flat art, just in a digital space. It's now encrypted with something that makes it special, that I say, no, this is it. This is special. There's only 200 of them, and I'm giving them away. And and by the way, you can't sell part of it. You have to sell the whole of it.
You have to sell the entire thing.
Why? Exactly, because we didn't sell part, unless suddenly it breaks down. Now, maybe they put some encryption in it that the thing can be sliced. Maybe that's something that is built into the
encryption process. So it's sort of like a piece of art that I own. That is, I am not the artist, but I own like a Picasso, and then I auction it off through Sotheby's. And Sotheby's, I make a profit off of that, but that's a one-time thing. You are actually, there's something in this encryption that allows, after that initial sale, if I sell it again, you still get a percentage of that profit. So thank you for breaking that down, because I was under the impression that it was like just one thing at a time.
That's the key thing. Picasso didn't get that money.
No, he didn't. Neither did Jack Kirby.
Right. But now they do.
Yeah.
Now Basquiat, you bought that for $4,000. It's selling now on Sotheby's for $2 million. It's forever locked to him to get some of that profit.
Okay. Now, before I let you go, I really want to know now we're not buying the comic. The NFTs are of the characters themselves?
Yes.
Okay.
The NFTs first 5 were of the characters. The next 5 were of the covers. And then we have bonus items that we built in. And also the thing about Curio, which is different from a lot of platforms, I have to say, is they really respect the storytelling. So there's these videos that we made, and I talk about not only the creation of and the inspiration, but also how we made the original comic book and who these people are and why it matters. Isaac and Luca and those types of things, for them to put that type of investment in the storytellers and in the story, and not just launch something and say, here, that's powerful. I'm a storyteller first. And this is a nice piece of art, but you want to tell a story as a whole piece and not just in parcels. So they're doing it in a way that I think is investment heavy. But if you're approaching film and television people who are natural storytellers, they want to see that type of care and sort of TLC. So we love that they're doing it, and they're doing a great job. And we're happy to be in partnership with them. And now everybody's asking us, hey, how do we do it? And we have to say, well, we were approached by them. It's a nascent type of thing, but I'm hoping that a lot of our friends and people we respect will be eventually inside of that space.
Well, thank you for sharing like exactly how you got involved. Like I said, I'm still learning. There's a lot of information out there about NFTs. There are artists that don't like the idea because they feel like some of their work could be taken, but it sounds like the way you've worked it out with them. So I can't just take your NFT and then run around and say that I made it, because it's encrypted in the actual coding of it.
It's not just them. It's every NFT is made like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a true NFT. So in fact, they can't claim that somebody's going to take their art. They're already taking their art. If they post it in digital, they don't have to do anything. That's done. So, to make that sort of a deliberate accusation belies, well, where is it now? Is it outside of your purview? Is it digital? Or they can be taken? This is actually connecting it to the artist, the creator. Yes, it's on a platform so people know how to get it, but that's your best bet. It's like saying, yeah, you go to Sony, you can buy that record, but but they're also going to make sure that you have an accounting of how many times people swipe that, whether it's Spotify or whatever, and give you some sort of residual income on that. And there also this discussion about the environmental impact, and people should be thinking about these things. But people should know that the environmental impact is less related to NFTs and more related to the underlying technology. And that's the blockchain technology you were just speaking of, the blockchain technology. It's been around for a decade. It's most well known as the cryptocurrency, but also as Bitcoin. We mentioned that. And the same goes for other cryptocurrencies as Ethereum, which is what their platform is built on. But I have to say that problem has been a problem for over a decade. So the developer communities who build these technologies, they're going to have to take up these solutions over the years. And this is a good thing, NFTs, because I think that the space has now garnered so much mainstream awareness that over the past few months, as a result of that mainstream awareness, the environmental impact issue will probably finally get its due. The attention it's deserved. So I'm hoping that, in the next 6 months or so, we get Ethereum 2.0, and that'll be more energy efficient and that type of thing. So when people are bringing up these things, it's a good thing to have these conversations, but it won't be about the NFT itself. It'll be about the actual technology. So
of how they're mined. Yeah.
Exactly.
Wonderful. Well, I could talk to you for the rest of the day about this, but thank you so much for hanging out with me and explaining what this is. And everybody can go to concretepark.com to purchase these, correct?
They should, no, they should go to Curio NFT. Curio NFT. Now, if they go to concretepark.com, it will tell them where to go, so that's fine too. But go to Curio NFT. We're like in number 4 of our covers. They keep selling out like within 25 minutes, an hour, one time, 1 minute.
Wow.
It really got momentum. Oh yeah, not playing. And we're really proud of the thing. And I got to give a shout out to Tony. Tony is truly a genius to have. People ask where he studied. Did he go to Marvel? Did he draw for DC? No, he's only drawn for Concrete Park, and he did it because he just applied himself, and then his style came out of it. And you can see the Hernandez brothers in it, Jaime Hernandez and Gilberto. You can see the influence of people like Jack King Kirby. In fact, one of our characters, Kurtzberg, is named after Kirby. His real name is Jacob Kurtzberg. So we're the first comic book character to ever be named after Jack Kirby in his original. And we love this world. And the other thing is, it's a very woman-centric space. We're not afraid to talk about issues, not only like people think, oh, you're talking about incarceration and all these other things, and we're talking about abandonment and being orphans inside a space, and what we seem to do to lost people, and I say lost within the system here. But we're also talking about love, and it doesn't matter what it is, gay love, self-love, all these things. And we're glad to have this conversation. We're not the originators to have started this. We're trying to build on the worlds that people have built, like Octavia Butler and like the people we love, and like you, who go around and amplify and create a scaffold so people have a way to get to another world. I love Stevie Wonder's Songs in the Key of Life, because if you listen to it, for you, all these things, they were talking about the future. Earth, Wind and Fire, all their songs, September, all these things were like in this space that was big and wide, and it was expanded across our skin colors. It was so boxed in. That's where I feel like Concrete Park really resides. And I give a shout out to all those people who gave us the wind to float a little bit.
And then you're working on something else right now. Can you share that yet, or are you not allowed to share?
I can share it, might as well, dag nabbit. I'm in New Orleans, and I'm doing a new film called American Refugee. Ali Leroy is the director. Derek Luke is my partner down here. And we're really excited to do this for the Epics channel. It's a really fantastic movie about things that are happening now. I think people are going to be very satisfied with some of the things we talked about today and what this is about. It's about a Black family that gets caught up a little bit. It's called American Refugee. And also just finished Run the World. It's on Stars. It's coming out very soon. You'll see me in that. I've done several episodes with the young women, and it's important to me because Yvette Lee Bowser's one of the co-creators with Lee Davenport. And Yvette Lee Bowser did Living Single. So to me, it's like a handoff for the Living Single girls. They were in Brooklyn. These girls are in Harlem, and they're beautiful. They're millennials. They're all sorts of crazy and nonsense, but they're also friends and extraordinary female relationships, Black relationships. That's a dearth of them on TV. We have a lot of Black women on TV, but not often being true friends and growing together. And then also I'm on Wu-Tang.
Yes, you are.
Season. I'm the mother of the Wu-Tang. Ashton Sanders plays my son because he plays Bobby. That's the RZA, and glad to be having done that. And also did a series, Swimming with Sharks, with Quibi. Who knows where that is?
But we'll
what
see it again. We'll see it again. It might, Netflix might buy it. We don't know.
It's true, but we did it. It's in the bank, and so that was awesome too. So a lot of really wonderful things on the acting, and also a reparations podcast. If people should check that out. Really having a great time with that. Yeah, Riz is in it. Joy Reid, Killer Mike, Charlemagne the God produces it. It's wonderful, and that goes.
On his network, right? On Charlemagne's network.
That's right. It's called The Big Payback, and my co-host and one of our producers is Whitney Dow, and we're also directing a reparations documentary, which we've been doing for the past 2 years on HR 40, and also the Evanston bill, the first reparations bill in America, which is with Alderwoman Robin Rue Simmons. So that'll be out soon too. So a lot of things happening.
Yeah, and apparently you need to develop an energy drink so that the rest of us can figure out how to live our lives like you, because you clearly have figured out how to make 28 hours out of a 24-hour day.
I tell you, sis, if that was the case, I would tell you. But I'm just trying to, you know what? It's a finite life, and I'm grateful, and I'd like to do things well. So I got to make sure I don't overwhelm myself and just do too many scattered things. But so far, so good. And like I said, I give a lot of credit to people like you. It's one thing to do these things, but if no one knows about it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I really do.